Final update part 2. 2 hours later, someone knocked on my door. It was Alyssa, no makeup, hair pulled back, and she looked like she hadn't slept. "I'm sorry," she said the second I opened the door. "I should have never let him talk to you that way." She stepped inside without waiting. "Dad, I'm scared. We're in trouble. Mark lost a lot of money on some deals. He won't admit it, but I think he's close to bankruptcy." There it was, the real reason. She tried to hug me, but I didn't move. "I'm not here for money," she whispered. "I swear. I messed up." I sat down and let her talk. She cried, telling me how their house was underwater, how Mark had been gambling, yes, gambling, and trying to hide it under investment losses. "How much did he lose?" I asked. "Over 300,000. I let out a low whistle. She flinched. I didn't say anything for a while, I just stared at the TV. It wasn't on. Then I asked, "Did you come here to ask me for help?" She looked away. "No," she said. "Not exactly." I nodded, got up, walked to the kitchen, and poured myself some water. "Alyssa," I said, "I spent my whole life protecting you, giving you everything I had. When I needed help, all I asked was to be near you. Not to live with you, not to borrow money, just to not be so alone." She started crying again. I didn't stop her. "I don't know if I'll forgive you," I said. "Not yet. Maybe not ever." "I know," she whispered. Then she left. The next morning, Mark called. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail saying he wanted to clear the air. 2 days after that, I found out something new. Mark was trying to contact my lawyer. He actually showed up at the firm's office and asked for a meeting to discuss family adjustments. The receptionist shut him down. My lawyer called me right after. "You were right to lock this down," he said. And now I knew for sure this wasn't about guilt, it was about greed. But I wasn't done yet because I had one more idea, one more move, and it was going to ensure they never saw a dime. But they would see what they lost. 2 weeks after Alyssa's visit, I got a knock on my door. It was Carol. She had a worried look on her face. "You might want to sit down," she said. "I just ran into your daughter at the pharmacy." I raised an eyebrow, wondering what she was doing here. "She was asking the pharmacist about your prescriptions. That hit me wrong. I never gave Alyssa the name of my pharmacy, never told her anything about my meds. She hadn't visited me once while I was recovering from the stroke, but now she was suddenly concerned about my prescriptions. She said she was checking for dangerous interactions in your meds, but she wasn't subtle. It sounded more like she was digging for information." I thanked Carol and sat with that for the rest of the afternoon. Around 6 p.m., I called my pharmacy, asked them to put a privacy lock on my file, and gave them a list of names that weren't to receive any info about me under any circumstances. Alyssa and Mark were at the top of that list. The next day, I got a call from the building manager. He said someone had been trying to ask questions about me in the lobby, my health, if I had visitors, if I had any relatives listed in case of emergency. Didn't give her any info, he told me, but I thought you should know. They were circling, not because they missed me, but because they were hoping I'd drop dead and leave the vault unlocked. What they didn't know is I wasn't just locking it, I was turning the damn thing into a landmine. That week, I sat down with my lawyer again. I asked him what the legal options were for leaving a video statement as part of my estate execution. He smiled and said, "Very possible." We got it all set up. We filmed it in his office, one take, no script, just me looking into the camera. I didn't yell, I didn't insult. I just laid it out, what happened when I asked for help, what I heard Mark say in the background, what Alyssa didn't say, what came next, and why I made the decisions I did. And then I said this: if you're watching this, it means I'm gone, which means it's too late to pretend you had a chance to be my daughter when I needed you. Instead, you let your husband treat me like an old stray dog, and you turned your face away. That's why you're getting nothing, no money, no assets, no second chances. The people who showed up for me when it counted, that's where it all went. You'll get a letter, that's it. I leaned forward, looked into the camera, and said, "Next time someone asks you for help, I hope you think about this moment. I hope it sticks." A month later, I got a package from an unknown sender. Inside was a glossy flyer for a fake-looking wellness center in Overland Park, private elderly care, monthly rates in the 5 figures, fancy logo, slick pictures, and a brochure that looked more like a country club ad than a care facility. Tucked inside was a handwritten note: "This could be a good place for you if you're still looking. We'd help with the deposit. Mark and Alyssa." They didn't even sign it love, just names. I didn't respond. Instead, I made another move. I contacted a local news writer who runs a small column about elder care, family estrangement, and end-of-life planning. I told him my story, every piece of it. I left out the names, but I gave him the town, the details, and what I did with my estate. He published it as a column called "What My Daughter Taught Me About Dying Alone and Living on My Terms." It picked up steam, got shared hundreds of times on Facebook. The senior center posted it on their wall, and a veterans group printed copies for their waiting room. Tyler came by and said, "Sir, you kind of went viral." I just nodded. Then, a week later, I got a voicemail from Alyssa. Her voice was shaky. "Dad, I read the article. Someone forwarded it to me. I didn't know you were going to do something like that. That told me everything." She wasn't sorry I lived it, she was upset people knew about it. "I just want to talk," she said. "Please call me back." I didn't, because I wasn't done yet. I had one last surprise planned, something she never saw coming, not just for her but for Mark too. Once it was in motion, they were going to understand exactly what it felt like to be treated like a problem. A month after the article made the rounds, I started getting letters, emails, too, though I don't use them much, messages from strangers, some older folks, some younger, thanking me for telling the truth, for speaking up when no one else would. One woman said her daughter stopped calling her after her first heart surgery. Another man said his son only visited to ask about inheritance. It hit me how many people live through the same thing I did, forgotten, brushed off, used. That's when I made my final move. See, I never told Alyssa about the foundation. After I changed my will, I started building something with my lawyer and a friend from the senior center who used to be a nonprofit accountant. We created the Sandra Home Fund, named after my late wife. It's a private charitable trust designed to support elderly people who've been abandoned by family. We made it public just a few months ago. Local press picked it up, a few radio shows called to ask if I would do an interview. I kept it quiet until it was all finished. The kicker? We listed Mark and Alyssa by name in the founding story. Not to humiliate, but to explain why this trust needed to exist. We told the truth. They didn't take that well. Alyssa showed up at my door a week later. I could hear her crying through the door before I even opened it. Dad, please, please, I'm begging you. Mark's lost his job. They're going after the house. We're drowning. The kids, they don't understand what's happening. They think you're mad at them. That one stung. I loved my grandkids, but I wasn't going to let guilt pull me back into a fire. Why are you here now? I asked. She looked up, eyes red. Because we have nowhere else to go. I nodded slowly, opening the door wider, not to let her in, just so she could see what I looked like now, thinner, slower, but still standing. You had someone once, I said, but when I asked to be near you, you turned away. Now you want near me because of what I have. She dropped her face into her hands. I'm sorry, she whispered. I believe you, I said, but that doesn't change the damage. Then I told her something that took every ounce of strength I had. I'm giving one last donation. It's already been approved. A $200,000 grant to a local program that helps single mothers take care of their elderly parents. Her head jerked up. Wait, what? Not for you, I said. It's for women who did what you didn't, women who made room. She broke then, right there on the steps. I let her cry, but I didn't comfort her because my job now wasn't to save her, my job was to protect the man I had left. The aftermath came quick. Mark filed for bankruptcy, I found out through the local court records, they're public. Their house got listed for foreclosure, and Alyssa had to move in with her in-laws, the same in-laws she always swore were controlling and cold. I don't celebrate their pain, but I don't feel bad either. They were never meant to be punished, they were meant to learn, and they did. I got a card from my granddaughter, Emma, 6 months later, just a drawing and a note. Mom says you're mad. I miss you. That's the one thing that broke me. I keep that card in my drawer. Maybe one day I'll reach out to her directly. Maybe. But not yet, because the truth is I'm still healing. Tyler visits every week. We work on old radios in the garage I rent near my condo. Carol brings soup when my knees act up. The veterans group named a wing of their new housing project after Sandra and me. My daughter and her husband lost my money. I found peace. That was the trade. And if I had to do it again, I would have called it Realtor sooner.